This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace, the easiest way to make a beautiful website, portfolio, blog, or online store. If you go to squarespace.com and use the promo code THUMBS, you'll get 10% off, and you can sign up for a free trial. Squarespace.com with the offer code THUMBS at checkout.
I actually loved Fable 1 a lot, and the sequels kind of got worse and worse, more boring. But that, you could kind of be really evil. Like, you could break into people's houses when they were sleeping and then kill them. And then that means you could buy their house and then you could rent their house out. So you could just do that and own a whole village of houses that you rent out because you murdered every single person.
How do you think Melania got his millions?
But then, unlike KOTOR, where there's a certain point in that game where you lock in your ending and it's evil from there on out. Like, you have hours where there's an evil ending. Fable, you fight the final boss, and then the very last thing you do after you finish the game, it basically says, press A for the good ending, press B for the bad ending. Like, you can still redeem yourself, even though you've lived the whole game as, like, this evil asshole that killed everyone in the whole villages.
That's
and, like,
Melanie wants to live in.
Yeah, you're just like, I redeem myself.
At the very end, on your deathbed.
Yeah, on Molyneux's deathbed.
I'm sorry for goddess.
Redeemed.
It's October 14th, 2015. Happy Dishonored Halloween.
This is Idle Thumbs 232. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm James Spafford.
I'm Sean Vanneman.
Oh, what is that? What is that? I'm Jake Rodkin.
Oh, and I'm Sean Vanneman.
Sean, welcome back to the podcast.
Happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
You're back for Dishonored Halloween?
Yeah, the unsettling spirits of Dishonored Halloween have disrupted our introduction.
Pulls off mask.
Is Nick Brecken underneath?
Pulls off Corvo mask.
Nice mask.
Is Nick Brecken
Spaff,
the release of
I don't know
mask.
if you saw that. I know everyone else has seen it, but did you notice that it is officially Dishonored Halloween according to the actual
at Dishonored.
The actual at Dishonored Twitter account?
No.
Has like a Dishonored Halloween promotion going on with a graphic that says Dishonored Halloween. Like they have a logo for Dishonored Halloween.
Did they just think
a joke that we've been perpetuating for like 2 years now?
Since episode 80. That's a very sobering number.
Yeah, we've been... It feels like it still to me feels like
That's
we're
3 years.
like just back from the Idle Thumbs Kickstarter.
It was.
No, it feels like we are that now.
Oh,
but
yeah.
that was episode 65, and Dishonored Halloween was episode 80, and now we're at 232. So, anyway, yeah, happy Dishonored Halloween.
Official now.
Yeah, the Dishonored account decided to have a Dishonored Halloween like costume contest or something. But there have just been all these happy Dishonored Halloween, hashtag Dishonored Halloween tweets, and it has been just a glorious couple of days this week.
good.
Maybe that term just showed up in their like social media tracking. They're like,
They
oh,
typed
cool.
in Dishonored into Twitter search or Google search and auto-completed Dishonored Halloween, and they're like, oh, that's already a thing.
Better join in.
Is it worth even trying to explain what Dishonored Halloween is to people?
Yes.
You can try.
Oh my god, I don't know if it's possible. In episode 80 of Idle Thumbs, we for some reason started talking about how it was like scary in a part of Dishonored and there were rats. Chris was talking about some stupid
video
thing.
game. Dishonored. Do you ever use the gun in Dishonored?
No. Well, I killed some rats with a gun. Because I always have just more bullets and I never ever use it.
Yeah.
So like I went down under, like down to an underground location because I heard someone being like, "Oh, there's rats here." So I went down. It's exactly what it sounded like.
Weird bark.
So I went down under. Oh, there's rats here.
No, they're on my
so
legs.
scary. It's Halloween. It's the weird time content showed up early.
Oh, there's time content for Halloween, and there's a bug where it comes out a big early. Where all the characters say, it's Halloween.
Oh, there's rats here. Oh, it's Halloween. Yeah, Arcane is kind of a weird studio.
Yeah, Dishonored's got all these crazy systems you wouldn't even predict. It's really super. Yeah,
It's a fictional world, but they've got
Halloween.
It's probably called some nonsense thing. Yeah. That's just Halloween.
Well, in this, you know that it's not our world at our time because they celebrate Halloween on October 23rd. It's a fictional world, not unlike our own, but there's some differences here and there that clever players might spot.
Major holidays are a week off.
Sometimes 2 weeks.
Ooh. Oh, we're the worst. This podcast is terrible.
So you shot a rat with a gun.
Yeah.
On Halloween.
On Halloween.
Halloween. On Dishonored Halloween. That's what it's just called, Dishonored Halloween. That's the name of the ancient rite that takes place on October 23rd.
Oh, it's from Dishonored Hallows Eve, is what the...
yes.
Yeah, it got modernized at some point.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, I that was literally the first time I'd fired the gun the entire
Yeah, me neither. I've never used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not once.
Oh, I shot a guy.
And I was surprised.
It's in a fictional world not unlike our own.
Not
but
unlike
for some
our
stupid
own,
reason, we decided that in Dishonored world, they celebrate Halloween a week or two early.
Yeah.
And in their universe, it is just called Dishonored Halloween. And that in the Dishonored world, they just celebrate holidays annoyingly off calendar from our own.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's very similar to our own reality. So seeing the Dishonored Twitter account
That's exactly what
declare
happened.
Dishonored Halloween 2 weeks early from regular Halloween was just delicious. Anyway.
Because all that Victorian shit is just drearily spooky in general. It's the reason they can just like put odd jack-o'-lantern in New Orleans Square in Disneyland and be like Halloween. It's like, you know, like pirates are scary.
Man, so also, just in general, I mean, obviously they did this because there's a new Dishonored game coming out, and it is crazy.
I really hope it's called Dishonored Halloween.
It just made me remember how much I loved Dishonored, just to a really high degree. I mean, we talked about this game a lot back when it came out on this podcast, and I loved it so much. And it made me realize how many new versions of games that I really love are suddenly just like almost here. Like Dishonored 2 is what? Like a few months away. Fallout 4 is next month.
3 weeks.
There's a new Deus Ex game, apparently. I didn't even notice, but is coming out soon.
February 23rd.
Far Cry Primal.
Also February 23rd.
We'll see.
February 23rd is
New Mirror's Edge also
There's a new
is
Mirror's
February
Edge.
23rd.
Is Mirror's Edge, Far Cry Primal, and new Deus Ex. If you like first-person games based on previous games, February 23rd is your Valentine's Day.
It's your Dishonored Valentine's
Dishonored
Day.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Oh, Dishonored
2 weeks
2
late.
comes out on February 23rd? No. That's the secret of Dishonored Valentine's Day.
I mean, for me, it's basically been like Dishonored Christmas because I just learned about all this shit. Fallout 4.
So you're calling Dishonored Christmas as also now.
Sure.
Dishonored
In this-
Christmas is the
in this-
eves of
In this,
All Hallows
in this
Eve.
unsettling world,
Dishonored
not so
era.
different from our own.
Christmas
Halloween and
comes
Christmas.
early.
Both fall on the same day.
I mean, Christmas
also-
is spooky.
Dishonored Christmas also appears
It
February
is.
23rd when a bunch of other cool games show up.
That's true.
God,
Yeah.
Christmas and
Dishonored
Halloween.
Christmas comes but 2 or 3 times a year when a sweet bounty of first-person games
Yeah.
sequels.
The fact that so Fallout 4 obviously I've been looking forward to for a while, but these other games I somehow completely went under my radar, and it's just been in the last like 2 weeks. Maybe I'm sure I knew about Dishonored 2, but I just forgot about all these games, and now suddenly they're all like in the near future. So I find myself when I'm just kind of loading up Steam, doing whatever, I'm like, oh man, are any of these games out? And still none of them are out ever. But it did mean that I just spent some time looking around Steam for new stuff that came out, and I found a game called Sublevel Zero.
That was masterful.
Which I was not aware of until like this weekend, basically. And it looked cool, so I downloaded it, and it's really, really good. It is a if you guys remember Descent, I'm sure you do. It came out in what, like 1997 or something, I want to say, maybe later than that. But
Descent was like mid-late 90s PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, around then. Yeah.
it was a PC game, like what they call 6 degrees of freedom. If Nick Brecken were here, he would explain 6 degrees of freedom
The 6-axis.
better than I can. But it's like a full 3D, all directional control thing where you pilot like what is essentially a spacecraft.
It's through a bunch of corridors that are in zero gravity,
but
so
yeah,
you can fly
zero
up
gravity
through the
corridors,
ceiling
yeah.
and then sort of just reorder the world. Just there's no ground.
You can turn in any direction
It's
at
Quake,
any
but you're
point.
floating.
Yeah. And the thing that is so great about it to me is that it feels like those games of the 90s where you have such full mobility and it's combined with enemy projectiles being either slow or at least trackable. Like, you can dodge enemy projectiles in the way that you can in like Doom. You know, like JP LeBreton, who's been on this podcast before, always talks about how one of the great aspects of Doom that is largely gone from modern first-person shooters is that the projectiles move slowly enough that much of the combat deals with evading them, and it creates this sort of like dance-like dynamic that is really cool and only really possible in sort of a abstracted, not very realistic, not very high realism world. And this game totally has that vibe to it, where because you can move in literally any direction and rotate yourself totally arbitrarily at any moment, it just has that sort of like heart pumping feeling of like dodging enemies from all different angles and spinning around to like any direction, and you're navigating this like crazy labyrinth. In this case, it's procedurally designed, which gets to a thing that I'm sort of ambivalent about with this game. Again, the game is called Sublevel Zero. I don't want to just mention it once and never say the name again. It sort of bills itself as a roguelike in the way that a lot of modern games are, in the sense that there's permadeath. If you die once, the game's over and you have to start over. And when you do start it over, all the levels are randomly
re-rolls
generated
from new chunks, right?
Yeah, there's like
blocks.
6 worlds or something, or 7 maybe, and you go through them sequentially. And each one is, you know, just a big labyrinth that is different every time. And it's really cool. I'm mixed on how I feel about the permadeath thing, because the thing that it doesn't have that something like Spelunky has, or other games in that genre often try to achieve, is complex interaction between all of the elements in the world. So like the enemies in this game have one purpose, which is to attack you. But unlike in Spelunky, they're not going to set off a crazy chain of physics events that are going to involve all of the sort of procedurally generated level design of the world, and like crazy things are going to have a domino effect or are going to set one another off. That just doesn't exist in this game. It's just the you versus the enemies, shoot them. And so when you die, I'm kind of just like,
classic
oh
game
man,
style.
now I just have to start a normal video game over. You know, like my playthroughs are not substantially different to one another in terms of like interesting emergent events. They're just fun video game, and that's great. Like, that's not a problem at all, but it kind of makes me wish there was a version of this game where there's just a campaign and I could just play through the whole thing and get to the actual like hardest enemies.
Yeah, I played this game for a little bit over the weekend, and I was really terrible at it. I didn't ever actually manage to complete the first level because I admittedly only played like 40 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Does it do the thing that Descent does, where when you get to the end of the level, you set off the reactor, then have to blast back out of it to the entrance again? Or
No, in this game, you destroy the reactor, and then there's just like a wormhole you go through to get to the next world.
Okay. Yeah, there were because the game is built in chunks, like it looks and plays. It looks basically exactly like 90s Descent. Like, it has big, huge pixel art walls and stuff. Mm-hmm. The controls are way better than my memory of it, but there were a lot of things that I missed about the feeling of Descent that I kind of wish this game did, and I think part of that is just that there isn't a level designer on this game. There's just a bunch of procedural stuff.
Can you identify any of those things?
The feelings that I remember from Descent were feeling like I was like a spaceship inside of basically a larger spaceship, or like a series of underground caverns, where sort of you'll have just the pacing of a well-designed level isn't present here, where sort of you'll be in a sort of a maze of corridors, then burst out into a gigantic room that has a big floating thing in the middle. And like, this game has little bits of that, but because I think it's being built in chunks, the range of contrast that they're able to achieve is just by necessity lower, because the rooms have to all be able to lock into each other. And just maybe the farther in you get to the game, the more that sort of stuff happens. But I remember Descent having a feeling of sort of just parts of it feeling really grandiose and parts of it feeling really claustrophobic. And this is more
like Half-Life 1 or something.
Yeah, and
where it's largely corridors, but
there's just striking, crazy moments. And this game feels like it's, at least in the super tiny part of it that I played, not about that contrast, but that was like my lasting feeling from Descent, was this really concrete but weirdly specific feeling of place because of just that like
because the concept is incredibly strange of Descent or this game. Just the core conceit is very odd. Like you're a weird ship and you're flying through a core. Like it doesn't map really directly to anything.
Yeah,
like there's no movies that are like
the closest
that,
weirdly
which
closest,
I've always liked about it.
Yeah. The closest cinematic reference that I can ever think of, which is a really stupid specific reference, is in the first Matrix movie when it cuts to the shots of their ship, like sort of going through subway systems and caverns
Descent
underneath
movie.
Earth. I know, but like, there's nothing cinematically that feels like that, where you're just like in such a strange version of deep space that you are kind of there's no gravity, but you're in a spaceship, but you're navigating these corridors, and you can sort of fly up through ceiling vents, then pop out into these completely huge worlds. I don't know.
It's that. I mean, the fact that this game does still. I completely. Agree
there's
with you about
immediately
the level
a smile on my face because I have not played a game that has these movement mechanics and this sort of navigation style.
It's so nice. Like, I mean, we're in an amazing period right now of incredible diversity in sort of game type and all things dealing with games, and it's really great and awesome. But this particular blend of kind of trying to model movement in a way that feels like you can really get your hands around it, but modeling it in a context that is completely like makes no sense and is totally abstract is really unusual right now. There's not a lot of games like that, and so it was really fun. And I am ambivalent about the when I say I'm ambivalent about the sort of permadeath part. I'm saying that because there are also parts about it that I'm positive on, like the feeling you get when I've been in a situation where I had exactly 1 hit point left, like 1 out of 100. And that was amazing. Like I came back from it and it felt so goddamn good because I knew that if I lost that 1 point,
right, you would have just wiped.
I would have wiped. The whole game would have been over. And that is really only possible in that situation with that mechanic. That is really cool. I also really like the crafting. Did you do any of the crafting stuff?
No, I collected stuff to do it, but I only got as far as finding multiple ammo and weapon types and equipping them to different slots on the ship, which was also really good in the 90s.
Fun. I know, yeah. It's so good. You can, as you collect component parts, you start to unlock basically blueprints of more complex weapons and hull and engine parts that you can then like create out of the lame. They're actually not component parts; they're themselves guns. But like as you collect guns and armor and engines, they can be combined into more impressive those. And it's a cool thing that's just going on in the background. And so whenever when you pick up a gun, sometimes it'll be like new crafting options unlocked because now this is a part that will complete, some other thing you can make, and it's exciting. And there's a currency system you use to do that, and that's a really fun thing that I like a lot. This is the kind of game that, just by virtue of how they've chosen to frame it in terms of the structure, I will probably just kind of pick it up sometimes and play through until I die, and then put it down for a while. Maybe 1 or 2 games. That's kind of how I've been playing. I've been playing it every day this week, but generally 1 or 2 life's worth, and then I whenever I die, it's sort of a bummer. And so then I would like this game to be successful enough that this team could make either a expansion or a follow-up game,
Sublevel 1,
that takes this idea and what they've learned from this and then puts it in a campaign setting. I don't know if they have any interest in doing that. That's a thing that I would love to play, because Jake, you're totally right about the level design stuff. Fun, weird fact about this team: the project lead and lead programmer of this game, before this, he's a PhD who worked at CERN on the Large Hadron Collider.
What?
Yeah.
That is fun and weird.
Yeah. Also, while he was there, before he got his PhD, when he was there as a PhD candidate, wrote, directed, and filmed a short movie about zombies, like a zombie outbreak at the Large Hadron Collider, which you can watch on YouTube.
Okay.
So this guy just does
definitely gonna watch
things.
that.
He just makes weird things that have to do with science, but is also like a legitimate physicist, like scientist.
Yeah.
and also made this video game. It's just a weird.
I
thing.
have not played Descent in so long that I have no idea if my recollections of what I remember, like of that stuff about Descent, was true or not. But a modern reinterpretation of Descent seems like it would have the ability to take that little thing that I remember and just go crazy with it. So maybe that was just my expectations running against what this game is trying to do. But
sure.
Also, everything they have in there, I just wanted that also because it scratched that itch so successfully.
That's. I mean, nothing. There is nothing that is more of a touchstone for this than Descent. So it's pretty natural to It's cool though. You could these days if you were looking to replicate some of that stuff, you could do crazy things with like scale and like you could. Descent, I always kind of assumed. Was in part the way it was because like computers of that era.
Right, I'm sure that was how do we make a large boxy room interesting? Make you float around in a spaceship instead of be a guy on the ground.
Right.
But
you can be 3D now, is basically what it said.
You could float around because you have a 3D computer.
Yeah, you can go up.
Anyway, it's Sublevel Zero. I think it's in early access on Steam.
I forget. I actually can't even remember if it's in early access or not. But it's on Steam, and it doesn't feel like an early access game to me in the sense that it doesn't feel like the things that are left wanting to me don't feel like they're going to change. Like they feel like just things that I wish were a little bit different. But the game, like in the design that they decided to make, it feels like a totally functional, good, well-made, polished game. So
it also feels like it probably has room for like one or two big updates if they wanted to mix stuff up mechanically.
Oh yeah, and they could also just because of the systems in this game, they could add new crazy weapon types, and they could add all kinds of content that would just slot directly in and add like new dynamics without disrupting what the core game is. They could easily do that. Maybe they will.
Maybe they will.
Yeah,
do it.
Speaking of other stuff that popped up on Steam recently, Spaff, I know you've been playing the new, or not the new, but like the re-released PC version of 80 Days, which I also played.
God, I love that game so much.
Was 80 Days even available for PC when we talked about it last year? Okay, it was.
Sorry, when I said re-released, I used bad language. It was out for the first time on PC
because it was just mobile platforms initially, right?
Or a week ago, yeah.
They've released it on PC, and I believe there's like extra content
like
in it.
100,000 lines.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
100,000 lines.
Wait, new lines?
Something like.
I thought
words.
it was
maybe
1,000 lines. Okay, yeah.
No, maybe it's 100,000 words or
there's
something.
Definitely a bunch of
There's a ton of stuff in
There's
there.
definitely a bunch of
100,000 days.
It's
I started
totally. I did it.
I got there in 100,000 days.
Cool.
It was pretty easy. Easy game. I don't know.
Yeah.
We took long rests.
The new stuff is pretty evident. It's weird because it is both.
You want to quickly just go into what 80 Days is because we haven't talked about it for a year on this podcast.
Spaff, do you want to explain it?
80 Days is a game about Phileas Fogg. It's Jules Verne.
Yeah, classic round the world in 80 days.
Phileas Fogg who attempts to make it round the world in 80 days in Victorian times. But in this game, you play his valet, whose name is Passepartout or something. I don't know how you pronounce that poor Frenchman's name. And you have to help Phileas Fogg travel around the world in 80 days. But it's this cool kind of steampunk version of Victorian
Earth.
Of Earth, yeah.
It's like
where you encounter unexpected things.
It's like a socially progressive steampunk world.
Yeah, and then the gameplay of it kind of manifests as an adventure game where you choose dialogue options and unlock new routes that you can pick to travel around to get more efficient routes around the globe, and also a bit of buying and trading and stuff like that. But
very light economic management. Yeah.
So when I first came out, I played it very briefly and then kind of got busy and forgot about it. And then coming out reminded me that it was good. And then I was ill. I was sick in bed and I played it a ton. I've completed 4 around the world trips in the last 2 weeks or something. I'm on another one. And it's really fun. One of those trips, I decided to just go straight north over the North Pole. Have you tried doing that?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, well,
awesome.
that itself was like new. So that itself was an update that came out last Christmas.
Oh, okay.
So I remember playing that when it came out, having already played the sort of launch version of the game several times, and then playing through that, and that bit of content blew my goddamn mind.
So good.
It was so good. Ugh, this fucking game. It's disgusting how much I like it. Already playing the version that came out on mobile last year, it already felt really huge because obviously the point of it is that you can go to dozens and dozens and dozens of points on the globe, and then in each of them there are different things that can happen and different things you can choose to do, and in some cases like really consequential choices that will actually like disrupt your journey and so on. But then, once you play it enough times, you start to recognize some of the things that happen. But then every time they add new content, like when I played the version that came out on PC, which seems like the biggest content update since the game originally came out, they added a lot more content. I'm now back in that, I'm seeing some stuff I recognize, but then some stuff that's new, and it's like I don't know if this is actually new or if I just never saw it
a year ago.
Yeah, and so it's like recreating that feeling of like, oh, this is a whole big world, and there's
it's cool because even if you go through the same, because you have to go through the same kind of bottleneck channels in some spots. Like you have to begin in London,
right?
And we don't have to, but you're supposed to go through Paris,
right?
And that's always pretty similar, but they've done a really good job of making it so it isn't actually similar, and weird stuff happens.
Those weird moments make the game feel almost impossibly big. They make it feel as if there's no
what's a weird thing that has happened to you in Paris?
Oh, in Paris?
Yeah.
I don't know about so much in Paris.
Okay, you don't have
certainly
to tell me
I've been
about Paris.
chased by weird
Paris is just like the initial
thieves.
pinch point.
Yeah,
I know.
Okay.
I asked only because Spaff said that now there's weird things in Paris.
But when you'll play the game and you'll go through maybe 3 or 4 times around the world, and then as the story unfolds in what your brain remembers as the predictable way upon that events happen, you're like, oh, you arrive in Paris under the lights of blah, blah, blah. You go for a walk. I'm making this up.
That's basically how it
things
goes,
like all of a sudden, and now you've been taken into an alley. You're like,
yeah.
I've been here 4 times. And now I'm taken into an alley. That stuff exists in this game.
And then that might not go anywhere,
example,
but then
things like it.
Yeah, like way later in the game, because you did something in that alleyway, something else will happen.
Right.
Or like someone gives you something and then that comes into play. Or
I
like,
love stuff like that where someone gives you something to give to someone else like halfway around the world, and it's like, oh my God, am I going to divert my entire thing just to give this thing back to that person? But even if you don't, that object might be of interest to someone else in a different place who you did not intentionally seek out. Stuff like that happens all the time. Then you have to make a choice as to whether you give it to them or whether you keep holding on to it.
God, and
how the hell?
Random little dialogue choices, like most of the time, just will continue the story in an interesting way. But sometimes you'll just click something you think is kind of pretty innocent, but then be thrown into a Russian gulag for 5 days. You're like, what? No, what? I didn't do anything. Or contract weird illnesses. I've taken to being really odd now because when playing it, I do anyway, end up role playing this fun Valet character who's very, he's properly posh and, keeps himself and
That's
like a
easy to
valet should
picture.
be, and it's fun. But there are many options where you can be disgusted by everything because most of the time I'm like being amazed by everything, and that that earns you respect from Fog, and it's also the coolest stories, I think, and it's interesting. But I've just started a run where I just like hate everything, and it's just really weird. Like Fog's just like his health is really shitty. He hates me, and everyone hates you. You just get robbed all the time. Like it's just like that's disgusting. I decided to stay in. I decided to stay in bed. I decided not to go anywhere. Like you're just getting this kind of really boring story.
Surly man.
And I've also I've been trying to backtrack. I've been trying to see if I could just stay in Europe forever, but the game kind of doesn't let you go back.
You can't really go backwards.
So I've just been going down and then up. And then down and then up. I'm just doing this weird course, and Fog's just weirdly annoyed at you sometimes. But then you question him about the journey, and he's like, "This is why I picked this route. It is the most efficient one." Okay, it's fun to fuck around with that, though.
You are one who would play a game this way.
What happens
One
if you
tight
fuck
sine
with this?
wave all day around the globe.
Yeah.
No, just being just asshole.
Just trying.
I remember
The laziest asshole.
Yeah, I remember I don't know, 10 or more years ago. I remember whenever we would talk about games like Knights of the Old Republic or KOTOR or whatever, you'd always talk about how you would play them just as the most terrible, terrible man.
That was the only one. Knights of the Old Republic is the only one where I felt where you can truly just be an evil, scheming asshole and kind of you can do that in a lot of games, but the way that most people write that in there is that you're just an asshole, an oafish kind of like
you're just a bore.
douche that's just really like to people's faces. But in that game, you could kind of to their face be like, "Sure, I'll help you," and then like just murder their whole family and take all their shit behind their backs and force them to work hard for you, and then just be evil. That game was fun to be evil. Why be if you can be good in real life, so you can be nice to everyone in real life. You can't be a douche. You can, but you don't get very far unless you're rich. Damn. I should have been a douche this whole time. That game was fun,
You should have been rich this whole time.
Like,
Yeah, you had the wrong takeaway there. You should have been
basically.
rich.
I should have been rich this whole time.
One unlocks the other.
Right,
There's a tree.
Yeah.
The same is true in 80 Days. You can choose to try and make all this money. Like, people give you stuff that's valuable in other places, and you can go off piece to try and cash in on it. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. You should just kind of go where interesting things happen. Let yourself be abducted by weird flying things and taken off to rescue people. Like, there's so much weird stuff that happens. I'm excited to find the weirder things.
It's
Apparently
cool.
you can disappear off the map.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not. I definitely haven't encountered that. That's crazy.
There's some weird new content
Nice.
that I won't spoiler.
I do not want to be spoiled. You guys want to take a break?
Yeah.
Cool.
Why not?
Video games.
I spent 45 minutes on the PlayStation Store last night, though.
You can talk about that.
Just fucking mindlessly moving to the right and down.
Like the Tinder of video games?
Yeah.
The swipe. No.
Just no.
Like you were just moving like back into the left. Just
back into the left.
In the PlayStation Store.
Back into the left. It's the worst. That sort of Netflix surf is the least enjoyable surf. It's not like channel surfing. Channel surfing is like new,
Because something's on. As
exciting,
opposed to just
moving
looking
image.
at poster art over and over again and not doing anything.
And I can kill 40 minutes on that search. I did it last night with video games.
Why?
Because I was playing Soma and I got frightened.
Fair enough.
So you
like,
wanted...
I don't like being scared. That was such a weird, like I had like a grown man moment of like, I don't like being scared. That's it. No more scary things.
So you went to look for something kind of nice and
I just
easy, like bedtime.
Yeah, just
story.
something.
I do find that as an adult, the amount of me that is excited to feel terrified via fiction is just on a slow downward slope. Because there's enough things just like in life that
are
are constantly
haunting?
stressed about, like and worried about, and like just dealing with all the time. That it's like I don't know if I need to like artificially make my brain go through the exact same like chemical reactions. Like it's the same. My brain, it's probably the same shit that's happening, even if I know it's different. Yeah, it's like when it's happening, it's still those goddamn like little neurons firing. So
The caveman is still picking up the club.
yeah,
Like, you know, it's still being,
exactly. Yep, I'm still getting fight or flight. I don't need that shit.
Yeah, I had it, and I just went, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not a knock against like those kinds of experiences.
It's also not a knock against Soma. It's a good game.
No. Someone's really cool.
What you guys are saying is whatever happened to Mario?
Oh, we can talk about Patrick Klepek's fucking hilarious shit that I'm keeping up with.
Wait, why? What?
Oh, you don't know about this?
No.
Oh, so Patrick Klepek is in, I guess, what you would describe as a grudge match with Dan Ryckert, who is building these nightmarish Mario Maker levels in secret.
Okay, I've seen this, but I haven't dug into it.
And
so,
then
yeah.
giving them to Klepek. And it's now become just by virtue of having to like one up himself every single time he gives him a level, and Patrick's natural enthusiasm for something like this that is just crushingly difficult, and how fun he is to watch on stream, it's become something much bigger.
Right. Yeah.
So if you watch Patrick Klepek try to get through a Dan Ryckert level for like 9 hours,
9 hours?
you're usually offered up a very raw take once Patrick clears the level. Like he would get to the end.
How does Patrick have time to do this now that he doesn't work for the same site as
He wakes up in the morning and plays Dan's level.
Yeah. I don't.
That's like
but he's like he hasn't been able to get through the most recent one for 2 days.
Yeah, it's his.
So he's streaming it right now.
Like
this was literally 9-hour streams.
Not collectively, but I mean in terms of like
you could imagine
it'd be
Giant
like
Bomb
3 hours
that
last night, 2 hours this morning. He's back at it now.
Okay, I see.
You know, but then there's the moment of. I mean, the moments of defeat really don't get boring. But there's the.
You're reveling in his destruction.
Is he like a pretty good Mario player?
Oh, he's quite good.
Okay, so it's not the comedy of like incompetence. It's
but I mean, he played as much Spelunky
diabolical
as you did. And like
that's true, of course.
It's really reminiscent to when you and Patrick were playing the Spelunky Daily Challenges, except that in this case, he's playing these diabolically difficult levels, but he knows that they have a creator who is aiming, who's gunning specifically for him. It has,
and because of Mario Maker's like wonderful like design choice that you have to be able to beat the level to publish it, he knows it's completable. Yeah, and not only does he know it's completable, he knows that Dan has done it
to him.
Yeah,
man.
So it's really, really very enjoyable to keep up with on Twitter.
Those should all be all those levels should just be played as Waluigi. This should just Waluigi as Sisyphus of Mario.
Whilst Klepek is dressed appropriately as
Waluigi.
There was this,
Waluigi.
and during the break, I'll find it, but because I read it in GIF form, I wasn't watching, so I didn't see.
You read it in GIF form.
Yeah, well, Patrick,
the laziest reading.
Patrick completed the previous one, and looks into the camera and delivers a challenge that is so well worded. Yet I know expository, like I should say extemporaneous. That I was really I was just very impressed by Patrick's composure after completing a level.
To whom was he issuing the challenge?
To Dan. Okay. To like I've beaten your murder machine.
Oh, so it's like a bring it on.
Yes. Okay, I'll find it during the break and I'll read it out loud because it is worth hearing out loud, I think.
Extemporaneous.
Yeah.
It's not a word I use very often.
Well. I've been writing
or ever, maybe.
Sean only uses it when he's speaking extemporaneously.
That's true. It's like this.
Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Artbotic. Artbotic is a pretty new sponsor. We talked about them last week as well. They ship out boxes on a quarterly basis that come with exclusive autographed art from emerging artists. It's a pretty interesting concept. I haven't seen anything like this before. Every box comes with 2 hand-signed, hand-numbered prints, a limited run t-shirt, and then a bunch of stickers and other goodies. You get them every 3 months. You sign up for the box and you can go to the website and look at what has come in some of the past boxes to get an idea of it. It's artbotic.com.
It's like robotic, but Artbotic.
Exactly. That is exactly what it's like, Jake. If you do go to artbotic.com and use the coupon code THUMBS, you will get $5 off your first purchase, if that sweetens the deal at all.
It does.
Yeah. You get the certificate of authenticity. You get all the stuff to make it very official that you are a supporter of art.
Does the certificate say promo code thumbs on it?
Hopefully we can commission an emerging artist to illustrate a promo code thumbs limited lithograph or something that we can then get included in a Giclée print that we can get included in a future Artbotic box. So subscribe now to make sure that you don't miss the classic coupon code thumbs print. It's sure to be coming. In the meantime, though, you can go to artbotic.com and enter that actual coupon code that is thumbs that will get you $5 off. Artbotic.com. Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is also brought to you by Squarespace, an online service that makes it incredibly fast and easy to make your own website, portfolio, blog, or online store. Squarespace can make all kinds of websites that work on mobile, on desktop, on tablet, on anything really that has a web browser, and they look beautiful and are very usable. And we have another Idle Thumbs reader who has written in with his own Squarespace created site. I thought this email was actually just a joke, until I clicked on the link.
This is real.
And really, yeah. It is nachonomics.com. The website is called Nachonomics, the business of nachos. And I can't really figure out what the point of this website is.
It's about the business of nachos.
It just has
Seemed pretty clear to me.
a bunch of blog posts about nachos. The articles on this website include October, Nacho News and the Nacho News Network, and Nachos and You. Merchandise, the Elegant Cyclops Nacho Fun Pack.
Wait, can we go back? Notchtober or October? Notch-October?
Review, I Got Your Crabs, in which you review some kind of crab-based nachos.
I bet those are good.
Yeah. It's quite a website. I really enjoy the dedication that...
Looks incredibly well formatted for mobile, Chris.
It does. It is very browsable on my mobile phone.
It'll probably look good on an iPad.
I'm sure it would.
Probably
Samsung
really
Galaxy
easy
Note.
to make as well.
I'm sure it was. This was Dex Gormangast's site, and I can't say I entirely understand why it exists, but I'm pretty glad that it does, and I'm glad that it was made with Squarespace.
If I was as confused as you about his site, but was intrigued enough to want to make my own, how would I go about it?
You would go to squarespace.com and use the offer code THUMBS to get 10% off your order. You can also sign up for a free trial that doesn't use a credit card. I did this recently, and it's like the easiest thing ever. You don't need anything. You sign up, and it takes you 2 seconds, and you're already making a website. It's incredibly easy. And then when you are ready to check out, you can use offer code THUMBS to save 10%. That's at squarespace.com. Thanks, Squarespace.
That nacho site's pretty good. I just looked at it.
Yeah.
I really want to eat nachos now.
I know. Me too.
I like pineapple on nachos. Hey guys, how was your break?
Oh, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's short.
Mine was great.
You ever wish you could turn back time? So during the break, I said I would find the SmackDown that Patrick Klepek laid out for Dan Ryckert, and thanks to @FobWashed on Twitter, who made a GIF of it, I can read it to you. It says, "Let me tell you, Dan Ryckert, let me tell you to it plain. Let me tell you to it plain. You can't beat me. Every course that you put up, I finish." Long pause. "Every nightmare you design, I find a clearing." And he skitters his hands across the screen. "I make it to the exit. I beat that stage. You cannot out-nightmare me. I am your worst nightmare. Let me tell you, Dan Ryckert. Let me tell you plain." And then it's obviously it's a GIF, so it's looping, and I'll sit here all day.
It loops
but the way
forever,
he goes,
as did he
in
in real life.
which is troubling for
He's
his new.
still saying it. He's on the 300th hour of his Twitch
My
broadcast.
favorite thing about it is he goes, "Every nightmare you design, I find a clearing."
Yeah.
It's so fucking
lovely.
poignant. That is some fucking
Stitch that on a little...
Well, the thing
like
that I
T.S.
like,
Eliot.
the thing
It's
that I
so
like
good.
is that he later then declares himself to be Dan's worst nightmare. So he is like absorbing the nightmare and becoming it.
Yeah, it's really good.
So
I find every nightmare I find a clearing. That's just so illustrative. I really enjoy
It's
it.
like every cloud has a silver lining.
yeah, but way
every
darker.
nightmare-
Way more intense than that. It's like
every nightmare has a clearing.
And Patrick
it means
Klepek
that he's
will
not
find
like
it.
he's not actually like just you can't a nightmare. You know, the best you can do is find a clearing inside of it. But that's enough in this case to eventually
re-enter and then...
to
It's a clearing that he's
collect
gonna
yourself
use to,
and
like,
then gather
his
what you need
strength
to become
and
his
then
nightmare.
become a nightmare.
Yeah.
become a nightmare.
I do
That's the
really
only way
recommend
out.
going and checking out Patrick's like VODs on this stuff, especially with the most recent level. The first moment he takes it in, it's a Super Mario World sprite sheet or whatever theme, and he just goes, "Oh God, music blocks." He's starting the level with music blocks, and it's just music blocks and fire. Like he's just hitting the music blocks and bouncing up into the air. It's really very, very good. Highly recommended.
Cool.
Let me tell you about a video game. How's that?
That sounds great.
Masterful.
Am I learning how to seg yet?
After Chris just like took us on this beautiful journey for the entire first half, I have played a video game.
No, just fuck
Chris's
that.
first
Let's
half
get to
seg
it.
was like he was selling us a fucking timeshare. It was just like, oh, what? I guess we're, oh, yeah. I mean, we travel.
I'm on board.
Why wouldn't we? We can always, swap it.
It's true. I should have him this with a more gentle
It's
one.
okay.
because
You're on the lobster couch. You've inherited the Danielle Riendeau second half game
I
explained
can get
segment.
the Rhode Island attitude down.
Just you've already got your own wacky accent, Spaff.
Oh God. I have been playing Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime.
Nice.
Which is awesome. I love it. It is a co-op spaceship game. Aesthetically, it looks kind of like maybe pixel junk shooter. Like, think about that, like kind of cartoon spaceshipy thing. And I guess it has a lot in common with that, which is, that really good co-op gameplay. But in it, you are piloting a spaceship. You're a big round spaceship. There's a gun on the 4 sides of the spaceship. So there's one on the top, bottom, 2 sides. There's an engine. There's shields. There's a map. And to pilot it, you have to physically run around the spaceship and man whatever thing it is that you need. So if you need to move, someone needs to be sitting at the engine seat and making the spaceship fly, whilst one other person is maybe making the shields kind of deflect one side of it. And then you have to quickly jump off that, run over to the guns so that you can shoot the guns. So it creates all these awesome situations where ideally
like real-time FTL, basically, kind of?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So
This reminds me of a board game that I've played too, the way you're describing it. And I should have looked it up before I said that. Anyway. I'm losing it, guys.
like Space Alert, maybe,
the ball.
I guess. The board game, which
Kind
is
of like
like
Space Alert. I think there's a different one that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Maybe it's that.
Doing good here, Spaff. Anyway.
Ask him the name of other board games. Let's see if he finds it out. Everyone at home,
maybe it's this one.
Get it?
All of them,
And then eventually
alphabetically, and I'll stop you.
Okay.
No, just please keep talking about the thing that you know about.
Agricola.
Yeah. It's really good because it basically takes a normal kind of spaceship game where you would be flying and shields and guns all just yourself on one controller, but then puts you in the annoying situation where it would be really ideal if you could fire the guns and be piloting around and have the shields on one side, and enemies are coming from all directions, but you can only do 2 of them at once very frantically, and enemies very cleverly kind of move around you in incredibly annoying ways. So you have to track them. But it's super good. You have these base guns and you have all this base stuff, and then you collect these gems that you can socket into kind of each individual thing that change the way they work, and you can mix and match them. So there's like a metal gem, and if you put that in your gun, it changes it from like a laser gun into a big metal ball on like a chain that you can kind of whirl around. But you can combine that with an energy gem, and then it makes it into like a ball on a chain that shoots out, that then shoots lasers out of it. So you can kind of customize your ship, and that applies to your shields and to your engines as well. So you could, you have a normal kind of shield that occupies like maybe a quarter of the ship, maybe a bit less, and you can make it bigger, or you can make it turn into a thing that bounces stuff off it, or you can like.
How do you acquire these gems?
By shooting things and collecting them,
okay,
as video games go. Mm-hmm. But it's really good. I've played the first world of it, and it has a really cool structure. Like you have these different maps, and you have to explore them, and you're trying to find these cute little bunnies. It has a very cute aesthetic, super cute. But then it has cool like warp levels, which are really intense moments of like lots of waves of enemies coming at you while you don't really have to fly around much. You just have to protect a warp drive from being blown up by moving it around. And then weird bosses that are rad, that are like constellations that come to life and attack you. But overall, it's like this rad 2-player co-op thing where you shout at each other a lot. And I like that kind of stuff a lot. I'm a sucker for co-op games. Couch co-op
games where multiple people have to maintain a spaceship or sort of keep a thing alive at all.
Yeah.
And like I'm failing to come up with any actual examples of this other than insane goofy things like Space Team or whatever.
Right,
but just the working to keep a thing alive while accomplishing actual other larger goals.
Space Alert is also that, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's a board game, but
I feel like
it has that vibe.
Even things like Pixel Junk Monsters, for example, which isn't a spaceship you're keeping alive, but you're kind of keeping your like towers in play. It's like this, an animal that you've created that you're trying to keep alive.
I haven't played that.
You know what I mean? Well, like that's a classic. It's basically a 2-player tower defense game. So the maintenance of something that you're trying to keep from falling over, like Dungeon Defenders or something like that. But yeah, it's really fun if you're into couch co-op stuff.
I feel like I heard about this game for so long.
Yeah.
It must have been at a lot of festivals.
This game
and stuff.
cleaned up at the IGF like 2 or 3
it's been
4 years ago. Years ago now. It just like
it's got a very evocative name. It's got a great name.
Yeah,
when I hear Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime, the thing that I actually hear, which is a really inside stupid thing, is basically I hear the IGF Awards announcement lady just say Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime. Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime. Because it was nominated for like 1 million awards one year.
Yeah.
I think it's being published by Behemoth. I think they've picked it up in a kind of
that's cool.
Double Fine Presents style something going on.
Good for them.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Man, it's been really well reviewed too.
It's really good. It's out on Xbox One and also on Steam, which is where I played it, and will continue to play it.
I think the reason I wasn't aware that this game finally came out is because, like Jake, as you say, I remember when it won a bunch of, or at least was nominated for a bunch of IGF awards. I can't remember which, and then I just remember being at a lot of like PAXs and like I don't know which shows it was at.
It's
but
a game that did a lot of festival stuff, and then you're not sure if, as a person who sees it at those, you don't ever quite know if it's come out or not.
There's definitely a category of indie game that feels like it's just perpetually almost done, and it's like been playable for years and years, and seems like a game that's far along, but then it takes forever to come out, and I kind of just stopped remembering.
It's definitely one of those kind of games where you could put together a
proof of concept.
Yeah, proof of concept thing on one level and then put it in the IGF.
And it would show really well.
Oh my god, this is the best. And then you have to build it out into a whole game that's going to, build all the content. So, that's probably what that category of indie game is.
Well, now that I know it's out for real, I'll go check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out. For sure.
Cool.
Lovers in a Dangerous Spacetime.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good IGF voice.
There's another game that I want to wait to talk about in detail until Nick Brecken is here and I can talk about it with him. But I want to put this out as
sorry, Sean.
I want to put this out.
I wish he was here too.
I want him to like.
I wish that every day.
I just want it to be on the record that I want him to play this. So, like, other people can tweet at him to play it or something.
So you're issuing a challenge.
I'm issuing a challenge to Nick Brecken. There's a game called Daddy Longlegs that a few people told me to play. A few Idle Thumbs readers recommended I play. It's a mobile game, and so I downloaded it for iOS, and I've been playing it sort of off and on. And it is basically
this is QWOP-esque to me.
Yes, it is basically QWOP on the phone. It is. It is
on the phone.
What a goof.
Chris Remo.
On the phone. Good
quotation on
CES keynote, Chris Remo.
QWOP on the phone.
So QWOP, for those who haven't played it, is a flash game, just a browser flash game by Bennett Foddy, in which you control a guy running, like ostensibly in an Olympic sprinting competition or something, and you have to use the Q, W, O, and P keys on the keyboard to independently control his two calves and two thighs. And it's basically impossible. When you start playing it, it seems like it is actually impossible. Like when you first sit down and start to control the guy in QWOP, it's like a comedy game. It's so
you are basically learning to walk like an infant,
right? Yeah, from nothing, from no ability, and eventually, if you're like for really just a weird person,
persistent,
if you're persistent to a degree that is like unnecessary for any real task in life, you can get good at this game. And Nick Brecken and I did that. In a hotel room when we were at some gaming event for work years ago.
Yes, actually. Full circle.
It may have been.
Man, this was talked about in episode 50 of Idle Thumbs.
I know. I think it might have been Dice. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
Vegas.
Nick Brecken and I got into a QWOP battle. I eventually bested him.
Who became whose nightmare, Chris?
Mm-hmm. I became his nightmare because he collapsed at meter 99 out of 100, and I completed the game.
Of course Nick collapsed at 99.
Oh, yeah.
Did you also play...
And then he probably declared the game broken and bad and walked away.
I basically won.
Did you also play Klop? Chris, did you play Klop as well?
Yeah, I played Klop. It wasn't as good, but... Anyway, so Daddy Longlegs is a game you can get on
the Klop
on iOS. I don't know if it's on Android as well.
This is This is more QWOP than I expected when I even looked over your shoulder and said the word QWOP before you began.
Yeah, so it's that kind of concept.
Oh, this is delicious.
But really stripped down. You only have two things you have it's one button input. Basically, you have two legs. It sounds like a spider, daddy long legs, but you're actually just a long-legged, two-legged daddy. And
you're cherry popping daddy.
Every time you start, oh my god! Every time you start the game, there's a title. There's like a title card on the screen, and right now mine reads, "This is the story of Daddy Longlegs and his 285th fall." So like it's a nice, clever little
Daddy Longlegs as just a shitty 90s swing revival song about a tall guy is so real. That is real. That probably exists.
Yeah.
There's a stupid Big Bad Voodoo Daddy or Cherry Papa Daddy's song about a guy called Daddy Longlegs who's just tall.
That's true.
A guy going, wah! Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yep.
I just want this game to have that kind of soundtrack. It'd be terrible.
There's a weird thing, or it doesn't exist anymore, in the town that I'm from called a Daddy Longlegs that was invented by a guy called Volks. And this guy, in the Victorian ages, he made an electric railway. I think it was the first electric railway. But it's just like, on the seaside for tourists to go up and down the seaside. But he also made a version of that railway that ran out at sea and was like a pier on legs. And it ran up along the coast. And that was called a Daddy Longlegs. And it's because it had this... Imagine like something straight out of a weird, like Dishonored Halloween. No,
like a Terry Gilliam movie or something.
Yeah, just like a pier that can move around on like iron, like Eiffel Tower style.
I can barely picture what that is.
I will find that for you and show it to you. Sorry, I had a weird moment there with Daddy Longlegs.
Please post a picture of Daddy Longlegs in the episode thread on the Outcomes forums.
I will do that.
So
anyway.
this game anyway is much simpler to control than QWOP. It is a one button input, and every button press, all it does is just switch which leg is walking forward. So you just kind of press, and you switch left, right, left, right, left, right. But much like QWOP, it has that terrible thing where once you get a little bit off rhythm, you just end up in this like cascading physics disaster as you sort of crumple to the ground. And even though the controls are very different and the sort of physics are kind of different, it has that same feeling of like once you actually start to get it, it has a rhythmic element to it, and it just feels like a tiny little catastrophe in your brain every time it goes wrong. The difference between this and QWOP, most significantly, is that the learning curve for this game is way shallower. QWOP is like you just bang your head against it until you eventually figure out kind of the patterns that work. This game, it is someone who is the game is actually attempting to make the guy walk in a relatively normal way, but you have to get the rhythm right. So it's definitely easier to latch onto as a player. Also, you can unlock free cosmetic upgrades, and as soon as I unlocked the like knee-high boots, I have not changed them from anything because it looks
those knee-high boots
hilarious.
don't come out of the box.
No, this is not stock.
That's
stock. Like, it's just there's nothing. He has no like accoutrement.
He just has naked legs.
Little
kinky.
No, it's a little. You know how like it's a little Führer.
A little like Third Reich.
It's a little Reiki.
Can you make him? Can you make the daddy goose
Except
step?
that they're like stiletto heels. They're not like jack boots.
Well,
Well, they're
61, man. So it's like hot Nazi.
Yeah,
hot Nazi.
Hot Nazi. I would say this game has a hot Nazi
It
aesthetic.
is Dishonored Halloween, after all. We got
Chris is dressed as a Dishonored Nazi. That's sexy Corvo.
Yeah, sexy
We got
Corvo.
your sexy Corvo, nice mask.
Sexy Daddy Longlegs Nazi.
Sexy Daddy Longlegs.
and sexy Hitler.
It's one and the same in this
In my mind.
Sexy Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Big bad voodoo daddy.
Got your sexy daddy long legs, got everything. Sexy Corvo, gross.
Sexy Corvo. I mean,
Dishonored Corvo.
This is lipstick on the mask.
The thing about the way that modern like sexy Halloween costumes work, it would just be the Corvo mask and then just a woman
bra.
revealing clothing, and that would be the entire costume. You wouldn't even the bar is pretty low these days, I would say, on the sexy Halloween costume.
In my day, sexy Halloween costumes meant something.
I just mean like the bar for like getting something to market. Like, did you guys see there was already a sexy pizza rat costume?
Yes.
pretty good.
Like, it was like
Incredible.
days later.
Hopefully there's going to be a sexy dog has a huge bubble pop near it and is unfazed costume.
Oh my god, my GIF. That GIF is GIF is my fucking mountaintop.
It's your clearing in the nightmare.
It is. Man, I was instantly looking for a song called Daddy Longlegs on Spotify. Just like, I wanted to play it while he was talking about
my
it.
God.
But like, I don't know. I'm not looking for a specific song. I'm looking for a song that fits the
Just
bill that
any
you and I
song.
were discussing. And so I'm just gonna hit play on a
gonna take a
song.
chance.
I'm taking a chance. I'm feeling lucky.
Take a chance on me.
The Daddy Longlegs roulette.
This is promising.
It's not bad. It's got a little Smash Mouthiness to it here.
Oh my god.
God, it just needs a guy going, I would Daddy Longlegs.
It very well might.
I would play Daddy Longlegs and listen to this.
I wonder if this is all instrumental though.
It might be.
This
I
is
can
Daddy
imagine him walking
Longlegs by the
around.
Tiki Tones.
Daddy Longlegs.
Oh, Daddy.
Yeah, this is all this is.
Daddy Longlegs.
Lovers in a dangerous spacetime.
Kind of works for anything.
It does. It really.
Oh yeah.
This is Daddy Longlegs parentheses royalty free. Not actually true. We are in fact.
There they are.
Yes.
Yes. That's all that it
I like that bit with the organ.
That's it.
is. We've done it.
The difference between the version of saying Daddy Longlegs on top that we were doing versus what's in the song is the only thing that differentiates this from like a funk jam band of the 70s from a revival of that in the 90s.
Yes.
That's the only difference, is just the way that you say Daddy Longlegs on top.
That's true.
So both
That was a
versions.
good pull. That was a good Daddy Longlegs pull.
Yeah.
I'm glad we all did that together.
And that concludes our 10-minute Daddy Longlegs segment.
Oh my gosh, the cover art for the Tiki Tones Monster Party 2000 is quite good. Highly recommended.
What
Is that the
this was
band?
drawn from?
Yeah, the Tiki Tones is the name of the band. The album is called Monster Party 2000 because obviously.
When did it come out? Is it actually from the 90s?
I assume it was the year 2000. That was when the last Monster Party happened.
No, if anything's called 2000, it's usually from a couple of
Well,
years.
it's usually from a couple of years
then.
before. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what that
Go
was.
to
My,
artists. Let me see.
that was my assumption.
Chris, you want to do some...
Oh, mid-90s.
Mid-90s. Okay, of
Yeah,
course.
that's
There you
what I
go.
was-
No, it
Hold
was
it.
2000. It was 2000. Okay, never mind.
Didn't
hold it.
It's fine.
It could have been a reissue though. That's the different one. So if it was 2000 edition,
This is Chris is looking for reader mail music.
I've already
It's
got-
still the
I already
same
have-
band.
I already
Okay.
have Weirdo.
Thanks.
All right, Jordan Pugh writes, "Hi Thumbs.
Hi.
I just found your podcast and I'm loving it so far. It was recommended by a friend. I picked 4 episodes that looked promising based on the content discussed. On every single one of these episodes, you guys welcomed Nick Brecken back after a long absence. I'm sure I will find out why as I continue to listen. You won't. One actual game thing I want to bring up was from episode 208, Buds Are Out, Keys Are In. You guys got an email at the tail end of the episode detailing the bud crash and remarked on the ridiculousness of it all. I wanted to say that's just the tip of the iceberg.
it is.
Video game economies
is.
have fascinated me for a few years now, and I was actually a TF2 trader for a while. Many people turn to trading after they begin to tire of the main game of Team Fortress 2. Whole communities are built on people buying and selling digital clothing. Some of the best traders have had inventories valued in hundreds of buds at about $30 PayPal per bud before the crash that they often built from a small seed investment. When someone became to accrue large numbers of buds, they would often switch products to actual Steam gifts. This would generally involve buying popular games from Russian sellers during a sale, then selling them for a decent profit after the sales had ended. I also did this and was in a Steam group solely dedicated to figuring out what would be the next hot thing. It was a fascinating experience, and I thought you guys might like to know how weird and cool the Steam trading community can get. Jordan.
Economy.
Yep.
Buds.
So, Jordan, you, I suppose, have not heard these yet. We went way deeper into the Steam economy in following episodes, but I wanted to read this email because this was a slightly different perspective than some of the
I'd be
other
interested in the
crazy
person
Steam stories we
listening
got.
to the other reader mails and then writing in their perspective on that, the rest of that story.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Man, that went crazy.
We will always.
Oh, like
I'm always
the
interested.
Hat Baron series, basically.
I'm always interested to learn more about this crazy shit.
Yeah.
Because it is so strange and so specific to video games, and also totally under the radar all the time.
Buds Are Out, Keys Are In was actually the final male in that series,
Oh, it
but
was?
all the stuff before
okay.
that was like the
Right.
complete crazy deep dive into like
That's right.
inflatable donkey
No, you're
balloons and
right.
all that
You're
crazy
right.
shit.
Yeah, gotta get those luck faces. Gotta get those lockless luck faces. Man, all that stuff is totally like muted now in Dota. Relatively dead. It's weird. I mean, I'm sure it's not relative.
Seems like it's still going strong
When
in
I say
Team Fortress, 'cause-
relative, when I say relative, I do mean the word relative in terms of how it was maybe a year ago.
Yeah, they tamped that down in Dota pretty hard, but it seems like Team Fortress just continues to revel in its own weird meta economy madness. Yeah.
I can't play Dota during the week anymore because just like I can't come out of a work mode and then like have to do teamwork with strangers. So I've been, I mean,
It's just honest.
yeah, and so I
cooperate with strangers all goddamn day.
yeah, just fucking people
Strange
not
people.
not up in the courier. So I just been rogueliking it, which is I open Dota, I set the bots to unfair, I hit random, and if I die, I close the client. That's how I play Dota now.
You just play a single random rolled run of Dota? Good.
Yeah.
All right.
The 122 characters, I hit random, I stick with whoever I have, and then I play a bot match against unfair bots. It's ridiculous how stupid the stuff they can do is. And then if I die, Alt F4.
That's so weird.
Alt F4.
So,
Watch how
watch-
extreme it is.
Watch 2.5
Speaking-
episodes of Scandal and go to sleep.
Speaking of people who only play one game, Nick Oblashek writes in, "Hey Thumbs, my parents never really played video games. My mom played Just Dance for the Wii, and they're both known to play Wii Sports Resort together at times. My mother also tried once playing Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None for the Wii, a point-and-click adaptation of the book by the same name, but it wasn't quite what she expected." Within the past year, they've both purchased iPads, which they use every day. Per my aunt's suggestion, they downloaded a few free-to-play games, and now every day they play a small selection of Candy Crush Saga clones. The one they play most is called Cookie Jam, which I had never heard of before they told me about it. It is a by-the-books clone of Candy Crush Saga with the same gameplay, same free-to-play mechanics, like limited timed lives and a limited number of moves. They play Cookie Jam every day, never spending a penny, and even sometimes they adjust the clocks on their iPads to trick the game into thinking hours have passed, thus restoring their lives. This is something that I, someone who plays a variety of video games every day and have done so for years, have never even considered doing. It seems like a really high-level technique to me. Apparently, my father is so proficient at Cookie Jam that my mother and her sisters, who also all play, call him the Jam Master.
Oh, no.
Additionally, my mom told me that she stopped playing a game called Panda Pop, which is a Candy Crush version of Bust-A-Move, but stopped because when you don't pass the levels, it makes the mommy and baby pandas, and in turn my mother, sad. When I visited my parents recently, my mother told me she started playing Juice Jam, a spin-off in addition to Cookie Jam. She got stuck on a particular boss level, which tasked the player with matching blueberries and apples specifically as if to cause damage. No. Wait, what is this? Okay, she got stuck on a particular boss level, which tasked the player with matching blueberries and apple specifically as to cause damage to the boss. The boss is a literal and figurative fat cat named, hilariously enough, Big Boss. My mother feels particularly antagonized by Big Boss, the way that he smirks and laughs as he creates blocks in the playfield to hinder progress, and asked me to beat the level because she said that every time she challenges the boss, it reminds her of the bosses I used to fight in the Sonic the Hedgehog games I used to play as a child. I felt a great deal of pressure as I tried to beat Big Boss, not only because I wanted to help my mother, but also because I was in the presence of the Jam Master, and I felt like I needed to prove my video game skills because I was put on the spot, even though my parents are totally casual players and could not care less about my level of skill. I beat him on the second try and felt like that somehow justified all the years I've spent playing video games. I hope my email finds you well and you're entertained by it. Please excuse any typos and thanks for the hours of entertainment. You guys are the best. Your fan, Nicholas Vladimir Oblashuk.
Good name.
The thing that gets me about that email is how much it reveals that all these games that are all clones of each other really are just actual clones of each other. The main thing distinguishing them, probably in most cases, is marketing. And if you just happen to play one of them rather than the other, like, doesn't really matter, I would think. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of games for which that isn't the case, but I feel like there are definitely entire genres of games on mobile at this point that have been basically finally polished into just a 100% understood game formula.
Like slot machines. I mean, that's the closest example, right? Right? It's just like...
Man, so when those guys all end up together at like some sort of free-to-play convention or summit or something, they must just have their own internal language for like the exact same things that they all have in their own games. Beyond the monetizing thing, but it's like, oh, when that blah, one type of thing that pops on this one type of level that all the games have. Because, I mean, like, just even within the MOBA community that exists where like there's enough... Like, MOBAs have enough, Lord's Management games. Who the fuck am I talking about? Jesus, what's a MOBA? Fuck. They have enough things in common despite their differences that I'm sure people, there's like, it's got its own weird colloquial set of nouns.
What do you guys use for your 10-second hurdle?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh, well, the panda gets sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, instead of the panda getting sad, we tend to use fireworks to invoke a happy response, keep them playing.
Yeah, it's like, that's cool.
We saw a lot of drop off because the panda.
Then what do you do if you're 15-second happy? We kill a panda with fireworks.
The panda gets shot.
That'd be sad. Yeah, man.
I've
been really, really sensitive to like
panda crime,
wholesale violence. It's been very strange. I've had a weird like 6 months. I've been very sensitive to like I was watching a television show and like a bunch of people get killed and the dog gets killed and I'm just like, why? Like why?
Because to invoke an emotional response at 15 seconds in. To keep
I know
watching.
it's really strange. I said they kill the panda, and then I had a spilks with that poor panda.
They killed the dog in Downton Abbey because its name was Isis. At least that's what everyone reckons. They just randomly have the dog die. Oh, poor dog. There's no reason for the dog that has no real. The dog doesn't do anything in that show. Just is there sometimes. And he's called ISIS. I guess they just wanted him to stop saying ISIS.
Lord Margaret, we're renaming the dog to ISIL.
Icehole.
God damn it.
The State Department calls it.
It doesn't make any difference. No one remembers the dog's new name. They all just...
Oh, how dreadful.
Dan Michaelis writes, non-judgmental, interesting Mario 64 comment. Dear Thumbs.
Oh, I heard you went on a little bit of a tear.
I stated my opinion.
Yeah.
You don't like Mario 64?
Oh my god, we don't have to do this again.
I'll go back and listen to it on the episode.
Let's listen to the what was this?
Mario 64 does many interesting and revolutionary things.
One of which is written in by Dan Michaelis, who writes, Dear Thumbs,
nevertheless,
did you ever realize that you are actually controlling two characters in Super Mario 64?
Of course, you're Lakitu.
Yeah, at the start of the game, Lakitu, former terror of the skies, floats down and reveals that he will be following Mario with a camera as a reporter for Lakitu Brothers. From that point on, you can control Lakitu and his camera with the C buttons. I found it interesting that Nintendo felt the need to justify third-person camera controls to the world.
We talked about this on an episode at one point. We talked about Lakitu's liberal bias and what he's not showing you.
Yeah. It's usually like this much terrain that you're going to fall off of.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that kind of stupid shit.
Was there more to that before I interrupted that?
Terror of the Skies just fucking tickled me pink. That like totally got me.
Lakitu's a big fucker. Lakitu in Mario Maker is a disaster because you can arm him with whatever the fuck you want. So he's just
you can throw other Lakitus at you.
I don't know if you can.
That'd be great.
Just this horrible exponential box of Lakitus.
Every fifth one is a baby Bowser. Man,
sorry, I feel
did you see that image? Sorry,
you interrupted this guy's email entirely.
Oh, we haven't finished it yet?
No, that was the email.
Oh, yeah.
Good, it got us on this Lakitu jet.
Terror of the Skies. He got to his joke, got his point out, bam, bam. That's how you write an email. There was an image of, oh my gosh, of Quentin Tarantino, I guess, at like Mardi Gras. Oh my God. Did you fucking see this shit?
This was amazing.
Sitting like above like a clown face, like a giant pewter
massive.
It was like if
it was just like a sparkly glitter face.
Yeah, if the entire facade of like an opera box was a face.
Yes.
And it was a clown face.
One of the like drama mask faces.
Yeah, drama face. And he's just sort of like curmudgeonly sipping
looking
a fucking
dour
hurricane.
As fuck.
Yeah, dour. And then it was like, who wore it best? And it was that with Baby Bowser inside of the smiling clown car, fucking like floating cloud.
Yeah.
Oh, peak internet. That was like 3 days ago. Worth looking up.
So
good.
Deborah Taylor Kane writes, Hey, Thumbs.
Hi, Deb.
My husband and I recently borrowed my father-in-law's van for a road trip. It has a fancy center console with a touchscreen and the ability to load MP3s onto it.
Yeah.
I was driving, and my husband decided to browse through his dad's music choices.
Uh-oh.
In between Eric Clapton
Daddy Longlegs.
and the Brothers Johnson was Chris Remo. Weird, I said.
What the fuck?
I didn't know there was a singer named Chris Remo. He tapped on the name. Inside was a single song, Space Asshole.
Oh my gosh. How does that make you feel? We'll talk about that after the email. Sorry.
I think it's probably too good to be true. After listening to the song, we tried to figure out how his dad could possibly have come to have this. The only thing we could come up with was that my husband sent the song to his little brother, who then loaded it into the car. Thanks for imploding our faces, Deborah. So if only his dad was a secret Space Asshole fan.
His dad's just been going some deep cuts on Bandcamp. Going
Someone's
deep.
dad. Someone's daddy. Someone's daddy Longlegs.
Thanks, Spaff.
There you go. You needed that to happen.
Hi, Deborah Taylor Longlegs. My father,
Ms. Longlegs.
Big John Longlegs.
Big Johnny Longlegs.
It's better.
Yeah, it's better.
Good plus.
Man, I once heard like an 89-year-old Vin Scully call a baseball game and refer to Dexter Fowler as Daddy Longlegs. 'Cause Dexter Fowler is just like 6.5 feet tall, but it's like 40% or more than that, 80% leg. It's very good.
80% leg.
Sounds like
Pretty extreme claim.
That's when you see those really distressing labels on pet food.
80% leg.
80%,
20%.
95% flesh, bone, and cartilage. It's like, oh,
I guess that's a good claim. Cool.
Is that we're celebrating this?
The rest, xanthan gum.
So Chris Solentrop writes,
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Thumbs. I just tried to create an Idle Thumbs account on the forums to plug my shit, which is my newest podcast, Shall We Play a Game, which you are free to mention or not mention in the unlikely event you read this email on the air. To prove I am a human to register on the forums, I typed in Idle Weekend as a podcast on the Idle Thumbs network. Your robots informed me your answer to the challenge question was not valid. Please try again. Do you know about this? Are the robots resentful about Danielle's move east? The answer is yes, they are. I went and I fixed that.
Okay, to create an account on our forum, you need to prove you're not a spam bot by listing the name of a podcast that we have. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it had esports today yet either.
No, I added both of them. They're both there. If you go to register for our forums, which are a great place to hang out on the internet, full of nice people and lots of really interesting
Such
discussion.
as now Chris Solentrop.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a smart guy.
He's
Anyway,
got his own podcast.
he goes on to
write well.
separately point out in this email. Speaking of robots, this terrifying public radio story from August is allegedly about how we should feel better about automation because robots are not sophisticated enough to work at meatpacking plants, but instead it brought forth the vision of a dystopic future in which robots work in every job except Midwestern meatpacking plants, where all humans are enslaved. I think I could pitch it to Hollywood as Snowpiercer meets the Terminator. I heard it on All Things Considered a while back, Chris.
Oh, I heard that story.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, the robots don't have, like, specific kind of skills required to work in a meatpacking plant. So even though these are like the exact kinds of huge repetitive jobs that in many cases are being taken over by robots, it's still all humans working in just like the grimmest environment.
But robots are really bad at taking a dynamic object and like sorting it and putting it into a place. Like robots are really bad at like folding a t-shirt and stuff like this. Unless you set up all the shirts.
Someone heard
them.
that story and they're just making a meatpacking robot.
But robots could like run Goldman Sachs. So that would like all of them.
If
they basically do.
They basically
all of the, like, micro trading that goes
that's what
on,
I'm
like
saying.
sub-second trades.
If robots have taken over to an extent where they have every job except the meat packing, who is the meat for?
And who is the meat?
It's to keep alive.
who is the meat?
It's to keep alive the people who run the meatpacking plants.
They're packing themselves into
That is
food
like
for themselves to eat to keep themselves alive until they are then packed into meat. Mm-hmm. For no reason at all. This is a human's existence now. Pack yourselves. Pack yourselves.
God, there's some grim quotes in this story. Could the economics of widespread robotic use in the beef industry ever work? Probably not, says Dan Stoll, an anthropologist who studied the culture of meatpacking towns for 30 years at the University of Kansas. Workers are really cheaper than machines, Stoll says. Machines have to be maintained. They have to be taken good care of. That's not really true of workers. As long as there's a steady supply, workers are relatively inexpensive. Jesus!
That's horribly true.
Yeah. Well,
Gross.
Anthropologist from
it gets even more.
1921.
It gets even
oh,
more.
wait, no, hold on. I've got that date wrong.
It gets even more like depressing and terrible. There's a stream of immigrants and refugees, mostly from Somalia, Rwanda, El Salvador, and Guatemala, ready to put on the chainmail and pick up the knife. Stall says.
Wait, they have to wear
officials tout the plant
chainmail?
as a melting pot and a business of
course.
immigrants.
In case the mute fights back.
God, this is depressing as hell. Oh, God.
Anyway, feel good, Chris, about how robots aren't taking these jobs.
Yeah. So if you work in meatpacking, your life is fine. You're all good.
Your job is secure, at least.
Your job is secure except for
that it's a
if you
terrible
will-
job.
yeah.
That is probably
Your awful job that is tantamount to slavery.
and there's
Completely
swathes
secure.
of refugees are coming to take your job, apparently. As they say. That's what Trump would say.
That is.
That's
that
what-
is
that's
almost
what he would
certainly
say.
what Trump
That's what he
would say.
has
Cameron would
said.
say.
Constantly.
Swaths, swathes.
Oh yeah, swarms. David
Swarms,
Cameron
that's David
called
Cameron.
them swarms.
You're good.
All like 400 of them or something. God damn that fat-headed twat.
Well, thanks for listening to Idle Thumbs,
A video game
a
podcast.
video game podcast. Sometimes we talked about video games.
Yeah, I
this
thought
time.
we did good.
We did a pretty good job.
We
I
did it.
think.
We did
Yeah.
it.
I'm proud of us.
You can be proud of us too.
If you are also proud of us, why not leave us a review on iTunes or tell a friend? It was really nice.
Tell a friend that you're
Tell a
proud.
friend.
It was so nice to read that email where the person's like, I heard about this from a friend and I like it. And I was like, wow, actually, that's such a nice thing to hear. It made me really happy. So if you think you have a friend who might like this podcast, why not tell them about it? We have
'Tis the season to be giving this Dishonored Halloween Christmas.
There's a really good. If you're going to
New
start
Year's,
at a random
Veterans Day.
episode, if you're going to tell your friend to play it and they're going to start like a random episode like that person did, do not start with the Ruination cast as my friend did recently. Because
Oh, God,
Ruination
that sounds
cast
terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
is not a good one.
that's not a good
Start with next week when we welcome Nick Brecken back to the podcast.
After a long break.
After
away.
a long time away, yeah. We have a number of other shows as well at idlethumbs.net, including the recently launched Esports Today with Rob Zachney and Andrew Gruen, the monthly interview show Designer Notes with Soren Johnson, the designer of Civilization 4, and soon the Idle Weekend with Rob Zachney and Danielle Riendo, who was until very recently a regular on this podcast. That will be launching hopefully sometime this month. So we will let you know as soon as it's up if you stay subscribed to this podcast. And if you want to write us email, you can do that at questions@idlethumbs.net, and we'll probably read it. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks, guys.